The full episode is now available on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Please see the link in the description for more details.
Before we hop off this whole thing, I did want to talk to you briefly about Criston Cole and how that one article, I think it was GameSpot, some of them actually, several of them, were annoyed with the inclusion of Criston Cole in quite a few of the storylines this season. One of which being, and this, I want to make this to the audience very clear, the actor himself kind of spoiled it. So, in a interview, I think his name is Fabien Frankel, who plays Criston Cole, revealed that some crazy stuff happens, alluding to, blood and cheese, and Criston Cole wasn't there to watch over the situation because he was too busy with Alicent.
You've seen the first two, have you?
I have.
So it's only getting worse, and I think that the end of episode 1, the way, the last couple of scenes of that episode, I think Criston Cole feels a great deal of guilt about his responsibility in that whole event happening. And that I think is going to be very much the catalyst in his actions in the following sort of 4 episodes. Because he's there. He's in there with Alicent when that's happened. I mean, he should have been there standing sentry, and he wasn't.
The way he implied it was that Criston Cole was getting busy with Alicent.
Yes.
And
yes.
I gotta say, Criston Cole, after the mid-season time skip in season 1, almost disappears, kind of like he's still in the show, but there's some episodes where he's not in it outright. And when he comes back, he's very defensive of Alicent. What I didn't like about Criston Cole in season 1, besides like the crazy beating of Joffrey Lonmouth, was he wasn't the kingmaker. He wasn't part of like the overall conspiracy like Otto and Jason Lannister was. He was just the king crowner. He puts the crown on Aegon's head, and that's it. Where in the books, he's actually very involved.
In Ice and Fire, it's been retconned by George R.R. Martin. But so originally in A Feast for Crows, the entire Dance of the Dragons can be attributed to Criston Cole. When people historically look back at it, it was him. It was he's the one that convinced Aegon to make his claim, setting brother against sister, because he was upset about his relationship with Rhaenyra.
Exactly.
It was all him.
And he's the one that throws Beesbury out the window or whatever goes out of his way to do that.
That's part of the retcon. That's part of the retcon. Okay.
What do you mean? Fire and Blood talks about it. How like Beesbury either gets thrown in the dungeon or thrown out the window.
No. This is the big thing. Okay. Because if based on Fire and Blood material, would you say that the war that the Dance of the Dragons was Criston Cole's fault?
I would ultimately attribute it to Viserys, but
right, but I'd attribute it to Otto and Alicent,
the Green
Council.
Yeah,
like if Criston Cole is not there, the same events happen. So his role is reduced. But I'm saying in the original series, he is the person that causes the war. So much so that Jaime Lannister thinks about him that way. Aerys Oakheart thinks about him that way. There are 2 chapters in the original series named that pay homage to Criston Cole, the Queen Maker and the King Breaker. And in both of those chapters, when you're talking about Barristan doing a coup and putting Hisdar in jail, and Arianne like kidnapping Myrcella and bringing her off to the desert to crown her. You think about the importance of Arianne and Barristan in those situations, and that they're supposed to be paralleled to Criston Cole, the Kingmaker. How significant Criston Cole was supposed to be, and then you get Fire and Blood, and it's a completely different story. That actually, no. It was probably a Maester conspiracy, or Otto and Alicent and the whole Green Council. But Criston Cole, he spent like 5 minutes talking to Aegon, so and he was like the one that convinced him, and therefore, he's the kingmaker, even though the blacks and the greens were doing shit for 30 years before this, 25 years before this. So greatly reduced and retconned and changed. And then in the show, even more so. even more so. Because they've removed the conversation that he has to convince Aegon. In Fire and Blood, he makes a speech during the Green Council, but lots of people make speeches during the Green Council. They've taken his speech away, and they've taken
the oath away.
And they've taken him. Yeah, they've taken the oath away. They've taken the Criston Cole's speech, and they've taken his convincing of Aegon away. So we've over time, like from the original series where it's all him, to he's a bit player, to he has no role at all.
In the show,
that's in the show.
And now he's relegated to being Alicent's booty call. I don't know what they're going with this, but apparently, I guess they're going to put some guilt on him or some blame on him for not preventing blood and cheese, because I guess that was his shift that night, and instead he chose to bang Alicent, which, whatever. And once again, they're also giving Alicent more to do, but what are your thoughts on that change, that blood and cheese happens because Criston Cole was not alert?
I mean, I suppose it, kind of makes it a little more interesting, add a little more guilt in there. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I guess why not? The thing is like, had they really wanted to add more guilt, you would have really stressed that Alicent is the one that told Aemond to go to Storm's End. If you really pushed that scene, then she could feel guilty for Aemond killing Luke, and then she'd feel guilty for the revenge and the escalation. I mean, they could have gotten there doing different things, but it's Fire and Blood. We gotta, or it's Game of Thrones. You gotta have some more sex, right?
I mean, actually, yeah, the lack of in season 1 was kind of jarring if you think about it, because that's what Game of Thrones is kind of known for.
And I guess they seeded it a little, right, in season 1 that Alicent was into that young Alicent was into Criston Cole, and then
that was like a deleted scene.
Oh, it was a deleted scene. You're right.
It was, yeah, and remember, we discovered it because the young Alicent actress talked about
it. Yeah, mm-hmm. But then later, it was seeded again when she says like, "Oh, the love you show for me or whatever, like prove it or something." She says to Criston Cole, near the end of the season.
Right. You know what? Honestly, I would have liked it more if Alicent had some level of disgust from Criston Cole having sex with Rhaenyra. Like, oh fuck, you fucking disgust me. Like something like, they would have added more drama to it, but at the same time, add some more complexity to it. Maybe Alicent is just jealous. Like Rhaenyra gets like all these flings and shit with Daemon, or so she thinks, going to the brothel at night, Criston Cole, all that stuff, and Alicent is stuck with this old man falling apart on top of her. So they didn't do that. It's a lot of missed opportunity in my experience. But Criston Cole, apparently people are some of the reviewers do not like how much he's involved in season 2, which I guess that's fair. He does have a big part to play, more so than Alicent and Rhaenyra did in the early stages of the war, but
he's hand. I mean, he's the one that's kind of in many ways running things for a portion of the war, so